Hey guys, it's TheFrXion here, or Tiger Tank 12, however you want to call me, I don't really care, and welcome back to World of Tanks. Yesterday was the 11th of April. That means it is the 10 years, or it was the 10 years anniversary of World of Tanks on the North American server. And it's been 10 years to the date that I've played World of Tanks, that I've been a part of World of Tanks. I still remember when I first did check out the interweb 10 years ago, where the internet wasn't as fast as it is today. But I still remember that I heard about this amazing game in the year 2010 called World of Tanks that was not released on the European server yet, but it was out on the Russian server. And I was a huge fan of World War II and anything regarding tanks. So immediately when I noticed that there was an option or a possibility for me to sign up since it was free to play, I did take that chance as soon as World of Tanks was released in the year 2011 on the North American server. That was a bit of a problem because I'm actually not from the North American region, but by mistake I kind of logged into the wrong website and I did make my account, and the rest is history. So obviously I didn't know what I would get myself into back in the days. But 10 years later, I have a World of Tanks YouTube channel. I still play this game on a regular basis. And a lot of things have happened. A lot of changes have gone. A lot of things have passed. We have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. And today I want to take a little bit of time. It's not going to be a very long video, where we reminiscence about the time that has passed, the last 10 years, because World of Tanks has been a big part of those last 10 years. It's been a constant kind of compatriot and partner that has been with me, sometimes a bit more, sometimes a bit less, but World of Tanks has always been somewhere. So I really wanted to take a time to take a look at the good things, the bad things, and the ugly things that have come the last 10 years. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you to all of the viewers, to anyone who has subscribed. I know 460 something subscribers is not a lot, but this channel was never supposed to be built on success or being like the channel of the size of Quickie Baby. That was obviously never the plan. I'm just doing this because I enjoy it, and I think it gives me meaning when I'm playing World of Tanks. Because if I'm just playing World of Tanks, I do get bored quite fast. But if I do play World of Tanks and I can inform you guys about certain changes and I can have a discussion, I'm really motivated to play World of Tanks because it's a lot of fun for me and I like to discuss topics. If you watched any of my videos, you will know that I really enjoy talking about anything regarding World of Tanks, and I am not afraid of calling out bullshit if it is in the game. Unfortunately, the last couple of years we have had to deal with a lot more bullshit, but we'll get to that in just a second. So I can say that I've seen all the good and the bad and the ugly in World of Tanks in the last 10 years, and I think it's time for us to reminiscence on the most influential changes that have happened. Now obviously all of these points that I'm going to be talking about later in the video, that's all subjectively. This is basically coming from me. There is no one that has influenced me. These are the things that come to my mind when I think about 10 years World of Tanks. And if you have your own opinion, that's great. Post it into the comment section below. I will love to hear what you guys remember of the last 10 years of World of Tanks. How do you remember it? Do you remember it more fondly? Do you remember it to be kind of a bad thing in the end? But either way, we're going to go into a gameplay because I can't do both things simultaneously, play and talk about it. I have to be focused. And we're going to be going into the gameplay, and then we're going to be talking about all of these points. So let's head on over. So the gameplay today is in my brand new CS59. This is a Czechoslovakian I hope I'm not mistaken, and I hope it's the Czechoslovakian. Yes, it is. No, it's the Polish. My bad. This is the Polish Tier 9 medium tank. I just fully upgraded it. I've played a couple of games in it, and we're on the map Sand River. But the gameplay is not so much in the forefront. I can tell you guys that this tank is really nice, so give it a shot if you ever have the chance, or if you're looking for a medium tank that combines pretty damn good firepower with mobility. This is a good option in my opinion. But that is not the focus today. So let's start with all of the good things, then we're gonna go over to the bad things, and we're gonna end it with the ugly things, and we're gonna have a verdict at the end. So the good thing, or one of the good things definitely, was that the gameplay itself for World of Tanks has stood the test of time. In 10 years time, I still enjoy the gameplay of World of Tanks. That mainly has also to do with the fact that they added quite a few game mechanics that do work with World of Tanks and that really are a good fit for the game. That obviously has to do with the way that they are testing things, the test servers, the sandbox servers. I think that's a great way of Wargaming's test area. It really shows you that they do care about these mechanics, they do care how they are implemented into the game, and they have a lot of internal tests, then sandbox servers, and in the end test servers to really put it out, give us a chance to try it out. If it's really bad, we can voice our opinion. I think that's definitely a good thing, and it was quite important for a couple of updates, and it's very important nowadays as well. Then I definitely have to say the golden age of World Tanks was from the years 2011 to 2014. That was the time when they were adding new nations like France, Great Britain, and Japan. And all of these nations had their own quirks. There were very different vehicles, very unique, and they all had their place. They all played very differently. The Japanese tanks, for example, were just absolutely underpowered, and that entire nation was basically from the start not very good until they actually buffed it. Great Britain was a fan favorite and still is to this day. Heavy tanks with very, very capable guns, but lacking in the armor department, at least at the later stages. But all in all, I'd say that was definitely the golden time. They added the game physics, and they had a lot of different trials. They tried out a lot of different things. Some of them didn't work out, like the historical mode, if you remember that. But it was actually the time when Wargaming really, really cared about the game, and they were trying all kinds of things out. And also where they added Carl's 8-bit mortar, the April Fool's joke, which was one of the best, or the best April Fools that they ever had in the game, and which I still highly, highly like, and I still put on a pedestal in comparison to other April Fool's events. So the anniversary gifts are also quite a nice thing, and Frontlights and Steel Hunter definitely are a good addition to the overall game experience as well. Now obviously I'm not going to be delving into all my favorite tanks or my favorite nations. That is not too important, but I think those were like great changes, and those were some pretty good things that I did enjoy about World of Tanks in the last 10 years. Now what about the bad things? Now the bad things, we had the Rubicon disaster. Rubicon was an update that was coming, or was supposed to be coming, in the year 2015. You might remember the Paris map came with Rubicon, and I think another map. 2 maps were added, and the T-22 medium tank. Now a lot of people do not know the T-22 medium tank because it is a tier 10 Soviet medium tank that was added with a new game mode. This new game mode was only for tier 10 vehicles, and it was supposed to be a game mode that just revolved around unlocking this T-22 medium. And there was so much match fixing, the matches were really bad, and all around the T-22 medium tank was just a horrible introduction into World Tanks. And also some other changes, such as decals that were supposed to be costing money, and the decals now cost gold. All of those things came with Rubicon, so Rubicon was kind of the start of the beginning of the bad choices, in my opinion. That's when wargaming really started making weird decisions, and they had to hear a lot of criticism, or they had to take a lot of criticism with the Rubicon update. That was also the start of the overpowered premium tanks. I remember that the year 2015 and 16, World of Tanks was dwindling down a little bit, the player numbers were shrinking, and they started selling premium tanks. There were like a lot of problems regarding or going around the game. That was also, but we'll just get to that in just a second, that was also the time when they rebalanced artillery. And things did take a bit of a nasty turn back then. People were not happy with how the game was developing. There were new nations or no new nations coming in, and it felt a bit as if the game had stagnated, and a lot of people did stop playing World of Tanks at the 6-year, 5-year mark. And that was when they introduced the really overpowered premium tanks. And I think that was almost the very first time where wargaming decided to, maybe World of Tanks might not be no longer our big ship. Maybe we have to divert resources. Let's see how much money we can make out of it. And they added the Defender, the Scorpion G, and that made a lot of people upset, especially the older players that have been around for a very long time. I think a lot of people did stop playing World of Tanks after that, and that was definitely a bit of a problem. Also, that was the very first time that the greed really took over, that wargaming started to show, that they are really greedy for money, that they really want to have all of it. And that was also the year when, or at least 2018, when the very first loot boxes did come up. A lot of these events in the last couple of years also turned into massive clusterfucks. These just turned into massive grind fests, and people were just not really, how do you put it? They were not really happy about the fact that these events that used to be about fun and entertainment turned into grind fests. And yeah, at least I'd say the rally with the Chaffies was quite funny, but a lot of the other events that did come later down the road were just not as entertaining as the rally one. So let's get to the ugly. Let's get to the really, really bad stuff, to the things that really grind my gears. So the RD rebalances from a couple of years ago, those are the worst. That was the worst rebalancing we ever had in World of Tanks. To this day, ranked battles are a complete shit show. Nobody likes to play ranked. Everyone is playing ranked because of the rewards. Everyone is spamming premium shells in ranked. Everyone is spamming premium shells in standard battles. Premium shells have become synonymous for basically World of Tanks, the suffering game that anyone is playing. And it has to do with that wargaming have completely taken away the weak spots. Weak spots have been taken out of the game for a lot of tier 10 tanks, for a lot of tier 9s even. Soviet tanks that have no weak spots, see the object 705A, that thing has no weak spot on top, so if you have to engage it, you have to use high explosive to be able to take it out. Then I remember the Japanese high explosive spamming heavy tanks. That was one of the worst changes that they ever made, when for at least 1 or 2 years the Type 5 and the Type 4 were unplayable. You could not play against the Type 4 or Type 5 without shooting them with gold, because the armor was upgraded to infinity, and they were able to spam you with high explosive premium shells that just did like 600-700 damage without penning you, and that was a massive problem. Thankfully, they did deal with that. They removed some original maps, some real cool maps that never came back. And then now we have the biggest issues, in my opinion, Crew 2.0 and the high explosive shell rebalances that might just ruin the game for everyone for the near future, or basically forever. And yeah, there are a lot of problems with this game. I've played it for 10 years. I still love it. I still love the thrill that I get when I get into a really good game, into a really close one. These have come in far and very, very far between. They don't come very often anymore. But I still love this game, and I want to thank Wargaming that they have created such a game. But at the same time, the way that Wargaming are treating World of Tanks at the moment and the direction that they're headed into, it's just not a very good look for the company, and it's not a very good look for the game as well. I've seen a lot of people go. There are not a lot of players left that I've started playing this game with, but there are still some of them that are hanging around there, and I just hope that they don't completely abandon World of Tanks and that they are able to actually get this game turned around as they did in the year 2018, when they did make some final changes and actually made some changes that made a lot of sense. The game has still a lot of problems and a lot of things that need to be reworked. For example, the loading times are really bad if you compare it to other games where you have to load in for at least 4 minutes, and then you have to load for every single equipment you want to put on a vehicle, and if you're changing the crew, it just takes way too long. But there is still hope. It's not over yet. So I'd love to hear what you guys think of World Tanks. What do you think of about the last 10 years? Comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Happy 10th anniversary if anyone out there has been playing this game for 10 years as well. And I see you guys on the next video.